Hi there guys, my name is Jacob and welcome back to the channel. Now in today's video I am going to talk you through my July 2026 solar stats, and to cut a long story short, July has been an incredible month in the UK for solar generation, and it's actually been my best month ever. So if you're interested to find out about how much I generated and maybe the income that generated for me, stick around for the rest of the video. But before I get into that, I just want to say a big thank you to everyone who keeps tuning in and watching my videos, because it means the world to me and it helps the channel. But I want to just address the fact that I've noticed lately on YouTube that the algorithms seem to have changed, and the views to a lot of my videos are not as high as sometimes they can be. And I've also noticed that has affected the revenue that comes into the channel. And don't get me wrong, I'm a very small channel, so my channel does not generate much money at all. I think last month was around £60, something like that. So we're talking a really small amount. However, what I've read online is if you are watching on a mobile phone, there is a button called the hype button, and basically you allocate hype points to a video, and that is supposed to help videos more than anything else at the moment. So of course most people like and comment and subscribe, and of course I would love you to do all that. However, for this particular video, if you could take the time to hype the video, I just want to do a little experiment just to see if that actually does make a material difference to the success of this video, or whether it just performs the same as every other video. So as I say, if you could hit the like button, but also try and hit the hype button as well, and we'll see if it makes any difference at all. Thank you in advance. Right then, so as many of you already know, but for those that don't, I have 13 solar panels on my semi-detached house, and they equate to a total power generation figure of about 5.7 kilowatts. That's the peak. I have a 5 kilowatt hybrid inverter, and I have a 9.5 kilowatt battery, and it's all GivEnergy. So it's a GivEnergy inverter, GivEnergy battery, and I've also got a GivEnergy EV Charger as well. All performing incredibly well, and I'm ultimately very happy that I went with GivEnergy, even though unfortunately they have gone bump now. But I'm going to keep this equipment for as long as I can keep it going for. So, we'll see how that goes. But ultimately, for the first, 18, 20 months that I've had it all, I've been very pleased. Now, in terms of the tariff that I'm on, because a lot of people always ask me this, so I'll just cover it. I am on Octopus Go, just the regular Octopus Go. So that gives me a cheap overnight tariff of about 8.6 pence per kilowatt hour. And then for my solar generation that I send to the grid, I'm on Octopus Outgoing. I think that's what it's called. Or in fact, Outgoing Octopus. And that gives me a flat rate of 12 pence per kilowatt hour for any energy that I send to the grid. So that covers what tariffs I'm on. Right then, so let's get into July's solar stats. And as I said, it has been the best month I've ever had. So total generation for the month of July was 946.6 kilowatt hours for the month, which is just a huge figure for my system. I actually looked back on last July, so July 2025, and that figure was just 703, which is substantially lower. And I ran the numbers on it, and actually 946 kilowatt hours, which is what I generated July 2026, was 34% better than last year. So that's a massive increase. And I'll be honest, I was really surprised by that. Mostly because, as I mentioned in my previous video, it's been so hot in the UK lately that, we've been having 30 degrees plus a lot of the days, basically. That has been a very consistent temperature. High 20s, early 30s has been very consistent. And as I mentioned in my last video, I've noticed my panels are less efficient after about 25 degrees. Anything above that, and I see a sort of 10-15% drop off from their sort of peak generation figure. So even though I knew every day was generating, a really good amount, I didn't expect to hit that type of figure and hit a best month ever, because I thought the total generation would be held back by the heat basically, but that has not been the case. It's amazing to think what I could have generated if it had been slightly cooler, but ultimately I cannot complain because, as I said, that has been my best month ever since having my panels installed. And that was January 2025. So I also look back on previous months of data, and my second best month ever was 803 kilowatt hours, and that was in April of 2025. So even that, 803. July 2026 has absolutely smashed that figure, 946. So yeah, just a fantastic month, and I couldn't be more pleased with that. In terms of the best day of the month, that was the 2nd of July at 38 kilowatt hours. So I didn't break 40 kilowatt hours, and to be honest, I never have. Well, at least I don't think I have. If I did, I must have missed it. But yeah, and again, if it had been slightly cooler, maybe it could have. But ultimately, yeah, best day, 2nd of July, 38 kilowatt hours. The worst day was the 30th of July at 18.6 kilowatt hours. So to be honest, still a fantastic figure for a normal day. But yeah, that was the worst. And I think that goes to show why the month as a whole was such a good month, because normally my worst day of the month is below 10 kilowatt hours, and that's, when I look back over the data, that is consistent. There's always days sprinkled throughout of any month that are below 10 kilowatt hours, and we didn't have any of those. The month was just so consistent at 20, 25, 30 kilowatts every single day, apart from, of course, the worst day, 18.6, but even that was really close to 20, and that was just across the entire month, which of course leads to the figure that we got for the month, which is just fantastic. Right then, moving on to my costs and income for the month. So what did the panels generate? Well, firstly, I've got my electricity costs for the month of July. They totaled, including the standing charge, £45.15, and that was for taking 308 kilowatt hours from the grid. Now, 307 of those kilowatt hours were taken on the cheap rate, which is, as I mentioned before, 8.6 pence per kilowatt hour, and just one of the 308 kilowatt hours was taken at a peak rate, and I think my peak rate is somewhere in the 28 pence, somewhere like that. But as I said, I don't really care what that figure is, because I never, well, hardly ever do I use peak rate energy. But for July, I used 1 kilowatt hour of peak rate. So, it's absolutely nothing. Part of that £45 figure for the month was my EV charging costs. I charge from home, I charge overnight on the cheap tariff, and I spent around £9 is what I've worked out for the month, and that was driving approximately 450 miles for the month. So not a lot of driving, but such a cheap cost of £9. I mean, it's just dirt cheap keeping my EV going. It really is. Compare that to petrol and diesel costs at the moment, which are just sky high. I couldn't be more pleased to have an EV. Gas costs for the month, well, as always this time of year, very, very low, just £11.42. The majority of that is just the standing charge. Now, the best figure of the month is, of course, the export income. Now, this is what I get paid for sending the energy that I generate to the grid. And as I mentioned before, I'm on outgoing Octopus. They pay me 12 pence per kilowatt hour for any energy that I send to the grid. Well, in July, I sent an incredible 903 kilowatt hours to the grid. And for that 903 kilowatt hours, I got paid £108.36. So that is, without a doubt, the most I've ever been paid. And it's the most I've ever sent to the grid. I'm not sure it's the most I've ever been paid, because when Octopus used to pay 15 pence per kilowatt hour, I think I may have earned slightly more for sending less to the grid. But under the new tariff, where it's 12 pence, that is the most I have been paid under that new 12 pence per kilowatt hour tariff. So £108.36. That is a really, really impressive figure, I think. So I'm very happy with that. Of course, I'm still participating in SigEnergy's events throughout the month. If you don't know what SigEnergy is, they are a virtual power plant sort of system. They basically take control of your battery at limited times throughout the month, and they pay you £1 per kilowatt hour to export that battery to the grid to help support the grid when the grid is under strain, basically. I take part in all those events, and of course, for doing so, they pay me £1 per kilowatt hour, which for me roughly works out to be about £4 per 1 hour event that they run. Now, in July, they ran 4 events, and across those 4 events, I earned £13.27. So just shy of the £4 figure, but I think, to be honest, it helps when they run those events when I'm generating from my solar panels, because of course I can send more to the grid. But quite a few of the events that they ran in July were sort of 9 p.m. till 10 p.m. So obviously no solar generation, and it's just limited to what my battery can export to the grid. And as my battery is limited to just 3.6 kilowatt hours peak output, that tends to be what I end up pushing out. So about £3.60 per 1 hour event. But I'm still really happy with that, because of course £1 per kilowatt hour is just so much more than, for instance, Octopus Pay, which is 12 pence. So, you know, I'm happy to take part in any event Axel want to put on. I opt into every event. And of course, if you've got a battery and you are not currently using SigEnergy, think about signing up. In the description box of this video, I have a referral link, and you can sign up using that link and get a £25 welcome bonus. And then obviously on top of that, you can participate in all their events and earn the £1 per kilowatt hour. So if you're thinking about signing up to Axel, please consider using my referral link, because it really does help my channel. So total income for the month of July from what my solar panels generated was £121.63, and that is adding up what Octopus paid me and what SigEnergy paid me. So £121.63, which, if you ask me, is an incredible figure. Now, if I take off my costs from that, I basically get a £51.79 credit to my Octopus account. And I also got the £13.27 that Axel paid me. That goes into my Axel account, and I can withdraw that whenever I like. But ultimately, yeah, I got a £51.79 credit to my Octopus account, and the total profit for the month, so adding in Octopus and Axel's earnings, minusing off all my costs, was £65.06. So that's my total profit for the month. So that's after all the energy that I needed, charging my EV, running my house, charging my battery, all that type of thing. I am in profit £65.06. So again, just an incredible month. And as the stats show, that has been my best month ever since having solar panels. So yeah, I am absolutely over the moon with that, to say the least. So there we have it, guys. That is my solar stats for the month of July 2026. Please let me know in the comments how you got on. If you've got solar panels and a battery, let me know how much you generated. And of course, if you are taking part in SigEnergy's events as well, let me know how you got on, because it's not the same for everyone. Depending on where you are in the country, you may have participated in more events or less events, because it's not the same for everyone. So again, let me know. And don't forget, guys, try and hype this video, and let's see if it makes a difference. Right then, guys, I will leave it there. Thank you very much for watching. If you made it this far, hit the like button, hit the subscribe button, hype the video, and I will catch you in the next one.